Hi, and welcome back to the workshop with me, Jim, and Dotty, our 1977 Project Midget. So one of the last things that I want to do before Dotty goes in for her M.O.T tomorrow is just to check the mixture settings and the idle of the carburetors. As I say, she's running a little bit rich and idling a little bit fast, so I want to see if we can sort that out. So I've taken her out for a run. I've got her warmed up. First thing I want to do, I've removed the air cleaners and I want to just check and top up the dashpot oil level. So I've got the correct SU carburetor damper oil. And we're going to unscrew the top of the dashpot like that. And a little squirt of oil in here. And what we're looking for is for it to be about half an inch above the top of the hollow piston in there. So a squirt of oil in there, drop that back down, tighten that up. Apologies, I hope the sound quality is okay. I've temporarily misplaced my microphone, so I'm doing this straight to the phone, so hopefully everybody can hear me okay. So I've topped up the dashpot oil level in both, and I've slackened off the cold start connecting screws and the throttle interconnection screws, which essentially means that each carburetor is going to run on its own. We've got a carb balancer here. Now, again, I hope you're going to be able to see this when it's all up and running. But what we're going to do essentially is with this little device here, we're going to pop this into the venturi of the carburetor. And with the engine running, we'll be able to adjust the setting here by turning the inner and outer dial. And what we're looking for is a reading at any point on the gauge here. There'll be a little white pin that will go up and mark. What we can then do is transfer that over to the other carburetor, and hopefully we're going to see their balance, that they're pulling about the same. If they're not, we can adjust that. Once we've got them balanced equally, we can then look at adjusting the idle and the mixture. So the idle setting is the little screw, if you can see it down at the back of the carburetor on both sides there. So just making sure that everything's clear of the fan belt and everything. Just going to start the engine up. Hopefully you can still hear me over the noise of the engine. We'll pop that on. There we are, and so we can screw that up until we've got 3 on the scale there. Take that across, pop that one in, and we've got almost 4 on there. So we're registering 3 on the front carburetor. We're up to 4 on the back. So that's showing that the front carb a little bit out of balance. We need to just adjust those to get them back more in line. Okay, so back in just to remind myself. So we're currently showing 3 on there. There, 2.5 there. So, sorry, I should have said I've got a flat-bladed screwdriver, and I'm popping that into the adjuster screw, which is located on the back of the carburetor body, and I'm just tweaking that in and out to get that balance. It is possible to do it by popping a piece of tubing into the carburetor, into the venturi, and listening to the hiss, but I'll be honest, it's going to rely on somebody with better hearing than I've got to be able to do that. So we've got those balanced now about equally, so we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I finished off the carburetor adjustment. I've reconnected the throttle linkage and cold start linkages there, and adjusted the idle speed by adjusting the fast idle screw, which is at the back there. So use that to balance up both carburetors, and also adjusted the mixture adjustment, which is down at the bottom of each carb here. You see that a little bit easier if I turn the camera around, it's just in there. So I've managed to get Dotty running better. She's not idling perhaps quite as low as I would like, but she is certainly idling lower than she was, and I think we've got a nice balance now. It doesn't sound it doesn't smell rather too rich. So what I'm going to do is cool at it. We'll pop her in for the M.O.T and see what the emissions say once she's plugged into their gas analyzer. Hopefully that's good. If not, we may need to revisit the adjustment from now. But so just to recap, we've topped up the carburetor dashpot oil. We disconnected the cold start throttle linkages, adjusted up the fast idle independently using the carb balancer to make sure that both carbs now are balanced. They were pretty close, to be fair, but I've just tweaked them a little bit. And then I've adjusted the fast idle and the mixture settings to try and get the best kind of balance between a reasonably low idling speed and not running too rich or too lean. So let's give that a call at it for today and see how we get on from there.